Hello my loves and welcome to the Perfume Realm. My name is Manahil and today we are going to be doing a comparison style review video. But before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you are interested in joining the realm, I highly suggest clicking the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you can stay up to date on everything that is happening here. Now let's jump into the video. So a while back I did a comparison style review video for you guys and I got really good feedback on it, so I don't know why I waited so long to do it again. So basically in this style of video, I take a fragrance and then compare it against another fragrance, which hopefully provides a point of reference for you. Okay, so the first two fragrances that we are going to be comparing are Live Irresistible Delicieuse from Givenchy, as well as Scandal by Night by Jean Paul Gaultier. So the reason I picked Scandal by Night to compare against Live Irresistible Delicieuse is because both of them are exceptionally sweet gourmand scents, and also both of them feature a note of cherry. So Scandal by Night is a beautiful, super duper sweet, super duper powerful floral fruit chewy hybrid. So there is definitely the patchouli in here, but there's also this really beautiful juicy fruitiness going on in the opening. The cherry is actually in the heart, and so of course in the opening you get a little bit of the cherry, but it really does become a little bit more prominent near the middle. So although it is not a top note in here, and it's not just because it's not listed as a top note, I really can't smell it that well or really distinguish a particular cherry note until a little bit of a dry down starts. So maybe within 30 minutes or so I start to get that cherry, and then when the cherry comes in it very quickly goes away. And I really think that's just a thing with cherry notes, they're very fleeting, and so I didn't really expect the note to stay for too long. It really was a surprise though for it to kind of come out in the middle, where I'm usually very used to it coming out in the opening. This is tooth-achingly sweet, very sweet. Compared to the original Scandal, it is not any darker, and the name By Night might imply that it is a little bit darker. I don't think it's darker at all. However, it definitely has a little bit more of a layer to it. Like there's a little bit more dimension, because Scandal by Night, which is my favorite, is really mostly about the honey, and other than that it's a little bit more transparent, whereas this one is not very transparent. It's very, it's like gelatin to me. It's very thick and fruity, and I really enjoy it. And so I'm comparing this against Live Irresistible because this one is also a beautiful gourmand. This one has patchouli in it as well, but this one has some really interesting notes listed. Not only does it have cherry listed, but it also has French pastry listed and caramel as well, which is just perfect for a gourmand. I love a nice beautiful caramel note. This one is beautiful because the cherry in here is gorgeous. It's very lush, it's very sweet. There's a little bit of tartness to it, but it isn't sour at all. It definitely gives you a little bit of that syrupy grenadine type of vibe. To me, it combined the idea of a pastry, you know, like a cupcake or a cake type of a scent, and paired it with the cherry, and it did it really beautifully, all while having patchouli at the base, which is, you know, it seems like a strange combination, but it works really well. So there's a bitter almond that really balances everything out, really cuts through the sweetness and adds a little bit more dimension, a little bit more balance. And the bitter almond is actually featured in the base, which is perfect because you really need that throughout the entire composition. It has to be there because otherwise I think it would just be way too sweet and it would be a disaster. It's not a disaster because everything is balanced, and from what I have come to expect from Givenchy fragrances, this is a very multi-layered fragrance. There's a lot going on, but it just works really well. The cherry in this one compared to Scandal by Night is a lot more prominent in the opening. It's definitely all about the cherry in the opening. It lasts for a pretty long time. At one point I actually owned Lost Cherry. I gave it away to a friend of mine because I just wasn't impressed with it at all, and I mean, it just didn't wow me at all. And the cherry in that didn't even last as long as this one lasted on me. And of course, that is because there are other notes to anchor it. So this is a luscious, decadent cherry cupcake drizzled with caramel sauce, and also maybe some cherry grenadine on top as well, and it just works beautifully. So if you're thinking about sweetness, they're both kind of in the same level of sweetness. However, I would say it is a little bit better balanced in this one. So maybe if you found the sweetness in Scandal by Night nauseating, it might not be the case here, because you know, that bitter almond is in there. There's a lot of different elements in here that makes the sweetness work and makes it very sophisticated. This isn't just a silly gourmand, you know, very frou-frou and I don't know, childish whatsoever. However, it is sweet and it knows it, and I love it. It really is irresistible and delicieuse. So that is going to be the first comparison. All right, so the next two fragrances that are going to be compared are Perdizione from Nobile 1942 and then Guimauve from Reminiscence. If you are at all familiar with my channel, you know how much I love Guimauve from Reminiscence. There is something about this perfume that I cannot get enough of, and it is actually at the top 5 of my most loved perfumes, and that is saying something. So this is the ultimate marshmallow fragrance, and the beautiful thing about this marshmallow fragrance is that it is very sophisticated. It uses herbs such as rosemary, mint, and lavender in the opening that creates this perfect aura of soft, delicate sweetness, because I associate a little bit of sweetness with all of those notes, but it isn't like a sugary sweetness. It's just that natural sweetness that comes from lavender, that natural sweet edge that is in rosemary. And then with the mint, you get kind of that beautiful open mintiness, obviously because it's mint. And I think the mint really helps aerate this a little bit more, as well as the musk that is kind of in the base. It aerates it, it puffs it up. So this is a lovely, fluffy vanilla marshmallow with those beautiful herbs in it as well. There's a little bit of citrus in here. There's actually a lot of surprising notes that are listed. There is sea notes in here and, you know, green notes, a bunch of very interesting different notes. This is definitely multifaceted, but I think it all comes together to create a marshmallow that is of the highest class, the kind of marshmallow you would only find at like a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Perdizione was actually said to have a few ties to Guimauve, and so when I saw that on Fragrantica, I knew I had to pick this up. I already really love the house because I adore La Danse de Libellule, which I have also talked about at length on my channel. So I thought it would be a pretty safe way to go, and it definitely was. This is a gorgeous, once again, very herbal scent. It's perfect for the summertime, so I'm really excited to wear this once the weather becomes warm again. It also has the beautiful fluffy vanilla that you also find in Guimauve, but there's also petitgrain in here, and I think the petitgrain is really the game changer, is really what makes this stand out. And it does kind of distinguish it from Guimauve. Guimauve is very well-rounded. I'm not sure if it is because of the petitgrain, but there's a little bit more of a sharpness when it comes to the herbs in here. They're not as, you know, smoothed over. They're not, you know, sandpapered down to be really soft and easy to take in. I think maybe that's the case in Guimauve because it is meant to be a little bit more mass appealing. And this one is a straight up niche house, so it really doesn't care, I think, about being on trend or being easy to take in, so it might be a little bit more of a challenge. I personally still adore Guimauve the most. I think the roundness and the softened edges actually works really well because it is supposed to be a marshmallow scent. This one I don't think was really trying to be a marshmallow scent at all, so for what it is perfect. Again, I am a huge fan of this one, 100%. It just cannot dethrone the original Guimauve. But if you are interested in something herbal, something bright, airy, perfect for the summer, and very sweet, then I think that this would be a great way to go. So Perdizione from Nobile 1942. All right, next up we have L'Interdit, the intense version, and then the original. So this one was actually released this year, 2020. This one has been around and reformulated. The original formulation was actually, I think it was created for Audrey Hepburn, or at least it is the perfume that she was most known for wearing, but they definitely changed it. It is nothing like that one, at least so I have heard. I have never smelled the original formulation. I was very impressed with this one, and that is why I decided to go ahead and get the intense version. With Givenchy fragrances, there are a lot of layers. It is never just what you have on the table is what you get. There's always so much more, and you know, I love it because there are twists and turns that you don't expect, and it just makes it a lot more dynamic, and it makes it a lot more engaging to wear, because throughout the day you're like, oh my god, it smells like this now. Oh, it's starting to smell like this, and it's just a lot of fun. To me, it's really weird, but for some reason I get kind of a grape-like opening, and I'm not even someone who particularly loves grape scents, but there definitely is this kind of grape-like opening in the beginning, and then later I found out that that kind of grape vibe that I get is actually because of the lime and the pear in the opening. So the pear in this one is definitely very similar to the pear in La Belle from Jean Paul Gaultier. They definitely have the same type of intensity and juiciness, and then the lime when paired with that pear, the lime when paired with the pear creates that kind of grape-like accord, and then after that you get the beautiful heart of tuberose. The tuberose in here really shines. A lot of the time an overly sweet tuberose can come off as bubblegummy to me, and I don't really enjoy that. It's very similar to kind of the effect that I get from Velvet Vanilla from Montserrat, which is probably one of my least favorite blind buys ever. The tuberose in here does not go into a bubblegum territory. It definitely stays a floral tuberose, and it has a beautiful vanilla that comes in the base as well as the patchouli. It's a very interesting, very quirky, very unique scent, and I love it. I think it is definitely worthy of being a signature scent for someone. And honestly, in an industry that is known for just pushing out flankers that are not incredible, they're just, you know, pushing them out just to sell them, they really nailed the intense version. I think as a flanker they did an incredible job. It is 100% more intense. It is a lot more powerful, a lot more potent, 100%. So it is a lot more intense. However, it is also quite different. It has some of that same DNA in it, but there is something a lot warmer in this one. It definitely has a warmth to it. I would say that the tuberose in this one isn't the main star of it. There is a tuberose in here, but it kind of is a little bit more soft. The opening has a wonderful black pepper that I think absolutely shimmers on the surface. It is beautiful. There's also sesame in here in the middle, and it kind of adds a little bit of that balanced effect. It cuts through the sweetness, and it really changes up the profile of the tuberose. Whereas in the first one the tuberose was incredibly sweet, this one the sesame kind of mutes the sweetness just a little bit, or at least muffles it a little bit, so it's not overly sweet. But like I said, it is incredibly intense. This one has vetiver and patchouli in here, and the patchouli I get very prominently right from the beginning, 100%, especially with the black pepper involved with it too. This one is a lot more sensual, and I think it is a lot more adult or mature in my opinion. I love the original, but this one has a little bit more of that dark class to it. So I do really love both of them. I hope that the comparison between the two might have helped if you guys have already smelled this one, since this one is newer, and I know like a lot of you probably haven't had a chance to smell it yet. I do highly endorse this one. I think it is incredible. All right, next up we are going to be comparing Vivienne Westwood's Naughty Alice to Vanille Violette from Laurence Dumont. So I picked this one up because I'm not sure what it was. I was searching something on Fragrantica. I am always on that website. It is ridiculous. I would say all of their traffic comes from me alone, and I saw someone talking about this, and then I went and the reviews were really, really good. So I picked it up off of eBay and I love it. It is completely different from the other fragrances that I've talked about. This one is very low key. It is a powdery violet type of scent, bright, happy. I don't know why the name of it is Naughty Alice. This is like a good girl scent, super, super goody two shoes type of a scent, a little bit of a baby powder vibe to be honest, but I really love it. I really enjoy scents like this, especially when I need something that's a little bit more calming and relaxing. That's the reason I own Vanille Violette from Laurence Dumont. I bought this one off of eBay because I think this one was discontinued, but it's just one of those really pretty violet fragrances with a little bit of vanilla in there that is just comforting and soothing and always just a safe option. I really enjoy having fragrances like these at hand, and that's the reason why I go and pick them up. I really have very different fragrances for very different types of emotions and events, occasions, times of the day, and so these definitely don't fall in line with the fragrances I typically buy, but I just really, really love scents like these. They definitely have a time to shine. So both of these have the same kind of violet powdery thing going on. I would say this one is a lot more sweet, a little bit more strong, and the powderiness in this one is a little bit more pronounced, whereas this one you almost get a little bit of this citrus in the background as well. The Vanille Violette, I don't get any citrus or anything. It's just violets and a little bit of sweet powdery vanilla, and then this one has the violets and a little bit of that powderiness, but it also has this kind of citrus aquatic element to it as well. It is not super dimensional. Neither of these are very complex fragrances, and they are not meant to be, and I really love them. So Naughty Alice and Vanille Violette from Laurence Dumont. Alright, so the very last fragrances that I'm going to be comparing are the Hawaiian Ruby Guava from Pacifica against French Lilac and Island Vanilla from Pacifica. So although these are all from the same house, they're each very, very different fragrances. It was a motorcycle. So although they're from the same house, they have very, very different scents. But the reason that I am going to be comparing them is only so you guys can kind of get an idea of what the house is like if you haven't ever smelled a Pacifica fragrance before. So they're natural fragrances, and there's a lot of different things natural fragrances can mean, but this is just what they say, that they're a micro batch natural fragrance company or house, and they definitely have a very natural smell to them. They have a very straightforward scent, and they're meant to be very straightforward. I would say that the vanilla, the Island Vanilla, is a really nice, simple vanilla. If you're looking for one of them and you don't want something that smells too much like Play-Doh, I think that Island Vanilla is a great way to go. I would say that this is even better than Vanille from Solo Notes. Then we have French Lilac. This is my holy grail lilac fragrance. If you want something straight up lilac, beautiful, fresh, blooming, and sweet, this is where it's at. I think French Lilac is just like, it's just really, really, really good, and I cannot believe that it is at the price that it is because it smells so high quality. And then Hawaiian Ruby Guava is a nice, punchy, juicy, bright, tart scent. So it has the sweetness, juiciness, as well as that slightly bitter edge that a guava has. This is going to be incredible during the summer. I really only see myself wearing this one in the summer. I want to have so many more Pacifica fragrances because these have all been blind buys, and I'm very, very happy with the quality and the smell. All of that is off the charts. So I really enjoy Pacifica fragrances. That is actually going to wrap up my comparison review. I really hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. If you did, definitely let me know, and let me know if you have tried any of these fragrances or if you have come to the same conclusions as I have regarding these various different fragrances. So anyways, thank you guys so much for sharing your valuable time with me here today. If you enjoyed this video or any of my content, I would really love it if you gave this video a like and shared with a friend. Other than that, have a good one.